Hey guys, what's up? Time for another video. This is Kit, and today we're going to be talking about lures. We're going to be breaking them down into categories, and we'll talk a little about them and what they're used for. I know that there are a lot of guys out there that are still quite confused about which one is called what. I hear guys talking about how this is a lure, okay, this type of lure, and then they think that this is not a lure, okay, they call it a soft bait, which is right too, but we'll get to that, okay. That this is a jig and this isn't a jig. Alright, so we're gonna be breaking down a few of these things, and I'm probably gonna talk about some history while we're actually talking about these things. Right, so let's get to it. By definition, a lure is an artificial bait. It is man-made, okay? So this is also a lure. It's a fly, but it's artificially created and it's a type of lure, okay? Now, there are a lot out there, okay, ranging from lures such as these and metals. We have lead, there's some made of wood, some plastic, and all this, okay? So let's talk about these ones first, okay? This is a lure, okay? The formal name for this is a plug. Plugs come in different shapes, sizes, colors, and actions. They also come in different functions. There's one like this, which is designed for long casting, okay, and they run shallow. There are those that sink, there are those that stay on the surface, poppers, stick baits, and the like. They're all plugs, okay. There are some that suspend, okay, there are some that float, and when you reel them in, they dive down deep and they go back to the surface. There are some that are neutrally buoyant, so those are called the suspending type plugs. So again, these are plugs. These are jigs, metal jigs to be precise, okay. Now, for those that are familiar, this is a fast jig and these two are slow jigs. They can be used for jigging and also for casting. Now, a lot of people think that they're only single-use lures, but aside from this one right here, this short stubby one, these two can be used for casting. So instead of assist hooks, you can put treble hooks. I think, no, there's a video that I made some time ago regarding this, and you can search on my channel and find how I convert these jigs or how I rig them up to be casting jigs, okay. Before the craze of vertical jigging, there were casting jigs, and basically you have a very dense metal lure, heavy, that you can cast out a really long distance, reel it in, and then it has sort of like a wobble and fish get attracted to them, and until this day they work, okay. They don't have as much action as the plug, but they get you the distance, okay. So these are metal jigs. Now, metal jigs are closely related to a very old type of lure called spoons. the very first ones were made with actual spoons. As you can see, this has a curved profile, okay, and it's also dished out. So when you reel this in, it wobbles, and it also shakes, okay, and it wobbles side to side like that, and it swims. But when you reel them in fast, they tend to spin, so some of them have swivels. Spoons come in different shapes and sizes as well. Okay, we have small ones such as that. There's even one without the curves. Okay, or there's some designs that don't have curves, it's just flat surface. And these have been around for a long time, possibly even longer than these types. And these were the very first ones that actually were used in a way that these ones are used today. So they were sent down to the bottom because they're heavy, and they have a lot of action because of the shape, and then they used to bounce them up and down. So a lot of people were catching amberjacks, even GT, and a host of other bottom dwelling species with this type of spoon long before these jigs were made. Okay, so those are spoons. They are metal lures. Now the difference between this and spoons is the fact that spoons are made from either stamped brass or some other type of metal. Some are actually made using stainless steel, while this one is poured because this is made of lead. So this lure is much denser than the spoon. This has more action than this. Then we move on to these ones here. These are called lead head jig. And the lead head jig used to be dressed with hair to make a lure which is called a bucktail. Now, as the name of the lure implies, the hair that's made, the hair that's used to dress it comes from a buck or a male deer. So they dress this up with bucktail. Bucktail tends to move really nicely in the water. They're also used for flies. So with the bucktail and a heavy lead head, it enabled people from some time ago, probably around 60s, 70s, 80s, all the way up to like the early 90s, to actually fish real deep and catch fish like amberjack using this type of lure. So fishing for amberjack with something metal and heavy isn't something new or exclusive. It was done a long time ago. Maybe we're catching bigger ones now than they used to before because of the on lighter gear, because of the technology that's available to us now. But whatever we're doing now, it's actually been done by some guys before, using something as basic as a lead head jig dressed with a bucktail. Or it could be dressed using nylon skirts, and it's still called a bucktail. Okay, so this is the shape. Okay, they come in different shapes, sizes, and dressings. The most modern iteration of this, okay, is, as far as dressing is concerned, is the soft plastic. And you can see with soft plastic, you have ones that look like shrimp, you have ones that look like fish, there's ones that look like lobsters, small fish, even ones that look almost real, such as this one, or these ones right here. So technology has given us a lot of choices when it comes to soft plastics. Okay, and this is probably some of the most popular fishing lures that's available today. Now, a lot of people call these soft baits. Some people actually call them baits, skipping the plastic or whatnot. Lures and baits, a lot of people use them interchangeably, because all lures are baits. It's just that they're artificial. Okay, so when you walk into a shop and then they're talking about plugs, you know that they're talking about this type. Okay, if they're talking about jigs, let's say flutter spoons, you know, deep water spoons or whatnot, it would be this type. Okay, if they're talking about jigs in freshwater, most likely it'll be one of these. Okay, it doesn't mean to say that they couldn't be used in saltwater. They could. I mean, this one's a purely saltwater one, although you could use these for freshwater, of course, when you're targeting bigger fish. There are bladed baits that they call, like these. Okay, or bladed jigs, and they hit the market, I think, around within the last 10 years. They're jigs. They're lead-headed jigs. Okay, they have different dressings. Different places will have different types and all that. But it's basically of the same type. Now, look at this one. This is shaped flat, and this is called the wiggle jig. So if I put that body on this one, and when I reel it in, it actually gives it a swimming motion. So if you ask me, the most versatile lures that are available in the market today would be the soft plastic, just because they are the ones that have the most shapes and sizes. I mean, they even have ones that look like crabs, and the most modern ones actually look like the real thing. I mean, look at this. Even the jig head itself looks like a fish. You know, this is something like a, let's see what the color of this one is. It's sand eel. So the color, the technology that's available to us now makes it so that we can digitally print the patterns, and they look so real. It's amazing. Okay, so lots of ways to rig soft plastics, and the different hook types that's available in the market is staggering. They're very versatile, can be used to fish any part of the water column because of the nature of the soft plastic. So like this one right here, this won't sink when you're fishing deep water. I mean, even if you could, most likely, just because of how this is rigged, this is for midwater and just subsurface. Okay, for something like this, it can reach relatively deep water, and I have used this. I've caught tuna on one of these. So again, very versatile. Now, plugs have their limits. They have a certain depth range that they work. This particular one is a sinking version, and for us here in the Gulf, this is probably one of the easier ones to use, because this is quite heavy. Actually, this is a I believe 110 yeah, it's a 110 millimeter lure, and this is 40 grams, so it's quite heavy. Not only do you get a really long cast with this, it also sinks, which means that if the fish are deeper down, you can safely target them with this. You just cast it out, let it sink to the level where you think it is. You could use a countdown method and then just reel. That's it. So plugs, okay? You have your metal jigs, again for casting or jigging on the bottom. You let it sink down if you want to make it sink down, and then jig it all the way to shore, or you could just reel it in. Now, this would have a lot more action than the jig, especially when you're just reeling it. Two different categories of lures here, but when you want to cast farther, this is most likely what you would be using. Okay, spoons are like metal jigs, but they're designed to be fished slower. If you reel them in too fast, they tend to spin, give you a line twist. Okay, now these represent most of the lure types that you see out there. Okay, and the biggest question is, which one is best? I believe there are a lot of people that, you know, walk into a tackle shop and then say like, okay, so which one of these lures gives me the best chance of catching fish? Well, to tell you honestly, if used in the right situation, all of these would catch fish. But if you were stuck in an island, okay, and you have to catch fish, okay, which one do you think I would choose of all of them? Okay, so really old school, I would most likely choose a spoon. Okay, and this is just to catch fish, and I have caught a lot of fish with spoons over the years. The biggest question there is, why would I choose it, right? Now, see, the thing is with the spoon, there's hardly any part that would break. Okay, I mean, yeah, you need to change the split rings and then, you know, polish it up a bit after. Soft plastics, they would tear up. Okay, same as this, and then there's the lip that you need to worry about. After a while, it'll probably snap on you, or an accident with a bigger fish or whatnot. These are all wired through, but again, easily damaged. This sinks too fast, you know, so when you're fishing around coral heads or whatnot, a spoon would tend to stay subsurface or in the middle without reeling in too fast, and that's the speed that works the best anyway. So the funny thing is, if you have all of these, okay, you would tend to use which ones really fit your style. Okay, there are a lot of guys that love casting plugs, a lot of guys that love shore jigging with fast or slow jigs. A lot of guys also love soft plastic, and that's for a reason. Okay, I would advise to take the time to learn how to work all of these and integrate it to your fishing system, because it's not always that you would have one bite on the spoon, bite one on a plug or a lead head jig. It really depends on the situation where you're fishing, and most especially the type of terrain that's in the water and not out. It's in the water what the fish are biting and what they like. Sometimes the simple action of a spoon would trigger strikes. Sometimes it's the aggressive reeling, when you're reeling in a jig like this, really casting out there and all. If distance was the key to get a strike, I would most likely reach for something like this. It's long, it's slim, put a treble at the back, it casts really good. Okay, same with lures such as these. So plugs are really good when fish are keyed in on bait fish of a certain size. Okay, so This is a very common size. There's a smaller one which is 90 millimeters, which is great. This is the Soran Heavy Minnow. So different situations call for different baits. However, having said that, the biggest disadvantage of the soft plastic is its fragility. Okay, so it breaks easy and everything, but most times you'll be able to fish only soft plastics and it'll catch a lot of fish. There's just some people that tend to not like the plastic breaking. So if you're counting pennies, dirhams, pesos or whatnot, a soft plastic isn't the most practical lure. But I'll tell you right now, it's probably gonna get you the most strikes. Okay, heavy heads would get you to fish the bottom with the same sized body, such as let's say this one, and you put a lighter head on it. You'd be able to fish shallower water and actually not create such a big splash when it hits the water. So take for example the GT 360 coastal shrimp right here. If you could see in the pack, it comes with a lightweight hook. It's a flutter hook such as this one, but you can put an ordinary jig head just like what I did here, okay, and you can cast out farther. Now comparing this with this one right here, this will splash. This will create a bigger splash than this small jig head. So when you're fishing highly pressured areas, okay, personally, I'll tell you this right now. When I'm fishing very pressured areas, I would most likely reach for a soft plastic more. So again, this is very easy to use. Okay, this takes a bit of learning. This takes a bit of learning. Whereas old school style, such as lead head jigs, okay, and spoons are easier to use and learn. They're pretty much automatic. You cast them out, you jiggle them a little bit or reel them in and they start working their magic. So yeah, those are the basic lure types. And again, plugs, metal jigs, spoons, lead head jigs, soft plastic combination. And now you can walk up to the tackle shop, and when they talk about these lures, you would know exactly what they're talking about. Hope this video helps, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.